Assalamu alaikum. This is Sadia Jalali with Muslim Bliss. Wanted to talk a little bit today about a pattern that I've seen that I want to see if we can work on a little bit and improve in our community. There are many times where, as we know, in the faith, that men are to be kind of the providers for the family. And because of that, especially in many of the immigrant communities, the women or the wives or the moms are very unaware of financially how things are run in the home. They're very unaware of the bills, what the budget is, and how to manage the expenses, even how to pay many of the bills. And so, the mortgage or whatnot. And there are so many differences. If you don't really know those things, right, then it would be all new to you to realize that, the light bill is different from the gas bill, which is different from the mud and the water bill, right? So there's so many different things that if you've not really ever gotten access to that or spent any time learning any of that, what I've seen happen is that then tragically, suddenly, surprisingly, the man of the house may pass away. And then when the mom or the wife is kind of left of trying to run a home, especially if she has children or whatnot, it's very difficult for them. They're so unaware of, again, maybe they've never even paid one of the bills in the home or know where they even exist or how to access them. Many of these women that I'm talking about, some of them never learned how to drive, and some of them maybe just, again, never really had access to some of the bank accounts. And this isn't necessarily, in a sort of negative context. Sometimes it was just never on their radar to do that, right? I don't mean in the way of they didn't have access to things, they weren't taught to drive in that sort of negative abusive sense, which I know does happen, but even in regular context, maybe that was not something they ever thought to do. But honestly, it is very important to know how to do those things because, again, we're never guaranteed our time here, and whoever, passes away in such a sort of sudden and tragic way, you may be called to, run the home and kind of carry on the duties that need to go on. This also applies to not just widows, but widowers, right? If you're the man of the house and you don't have any idea what your wife or the mother of your children does, just to keep the house running, you may want to check into what they generally do. Is there anything you just can't, wouldn't know how to even begin to do, right? And so I do think that I just wanted to put on everyone's radar. If you are very unaware of these things right now, please spend just a few minutes learning the basics. Maybe just have a list of what y'all generally cover financially, finances wise, right? Or a list of things that someone would need access to if, God forbid, it was your day and time and you had to leave your family. What would they need to be able to survive and make it easier on them? So I know this is kind of a morbid reminder, but the reality of, as Muslims, we always know, that only Allah knows our time of death, and if that's sooner than we may have expected it to be, we need to be able to be functional. Inshallah, I do hope one day our community is able to provide some of these resources for the people that are dealing with tragedy and grief and loss like that. Not only the mental health services for them, but also some of these life survivor skills, some of the resources they might need to get through such a difficult time. Inshallah, we'll get there. But for now, what you can do to better prepare yourself is just sit with your spouse, learn a few of these things, and again, you don't have to take over those things. They can continue to handle them, but you should be not so unaware. You should have some ideas of how you would be able to survive. Okay? It's just a gentle reminder, inshallah, for us all, and may Allah protect us all. Assalamu alaikum.